Okay, so you can't demand what is not your right. So for example, just last week I met somebody who, in order to get out of marriage without the in-laws sort of destroying his family's life and businesses and whatever, he had to pay, there was a demand to pay $250,000 to the woman's family upon divorce. And Islamically that's called suht. And that is haram money. You should not agree to it, but even in some situations you have to get out of a bad situation. That is haram money. They're not allowed to hold on to 1 cent of that. It is haram. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, يعني كل لحم نبت من سحت فالنار أولى به. That any flesh that is nurtured through haram money, the fire becomes more deserving of them. Likewise, sometimes if the husband demands that I'll divorce you if the girl's family pay this much or you pay this much and it's not rightfully his, or demands the mahr back when he is the abuser, for example, that is not allowed. You're not allowed to demand that which is not rightfully yours. Similarly, in situations where you need to know your rights, right? So you have a right that, okay, if you're not working, it's you negotiate, you agree in your marriage contract, and in your marriage you have moral capacity, you have moral agency. So you make choices that are advantageous to you, but you cannot, for example, demand that 20, 30 years into the marriage, we affirm, say, okay, now I want half your wealth. And they never agreed to that. Right? And let's say they were living overseas, someone, for example, living in the Gulf where somewhere they don't have common property law. But if you don't do that, then you make threats that you will not have access to the kids and your grandchildren will curse you and all that. This is unnecessary. And these things, one of the governing principles is in Surah Al-Talaq, 65th Surah, verses 2 and 3. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. And the context of revelation of this is at the time of divorce. Whoever is mindful of Allah, Allah will grant a way out. And being mindful of Allah at the time of divorce is to be careful to fulfill the rights of the other and to be careful not to wrong them while seeking your rights in a right way. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Allah will grant a way out. And it's expressed with immediacy. It's not Allah will later grant a way out. يَجْعَلْ, Allah grants a way out. وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبْ. And Allah will provide for them in ways they could never imagine. That applies to men, also applies to women. Right? And that's one of the things. If the woman is taking care of the children, etc., she has custody, the husband, the former husband has the responsibility to provide for them, to facilitate accommodation for them. But he doesn't have to just randomly pay $3,000 to her. Right? But then within the marriage, it's also important for women to be cognizant of their economic well-being. Right? Right? Your husband saying, my husband's taking care of that, that is, well, maybe he is, but secure your rights. And that's why, there's an Indonesian scholar, Habib Saqaf al-Mahdi, he said, ignorance is of more detriment to the believer than being naked. For you to walk around in society ignorant is to your ultimate detriment, is to greater ultimate detriment than walking around naked. You walk around naked, okay, people shouldn't look at you, it's haram. But inshallah, people will lower their gaze and not harm you. But you walk around ignorantly, forget other people harming you, you're just harming yourself. Right? So be careful.
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.